Hey there everyone, welcome to AFC Game by Game, and in this video I'm sadly going to be doing something that I never envisaged or hoped I'd have to be talking about, and that is the injury to Francis Coquelin and how Arsenal are going to cope without him, should I say, for the next 2 to 3 months. It's a real shame that he's not going to be a part of the squad after being so instrumental, so pivotal to our style of play over the past 11 months and bonding in that immense partnership that we've had in midfield with Francis Coquelin. And in a way, I'm kind of glad that I haven't rushed into making this video, because we've also been blighted with the news that we're without Francis Coquelin for the next 3 months as well. So our midfield scenario in Francis Coquelin and Francis Coquelin, everything that's been successful for us in the midfield has been ruptured in the space of just over a week. So that really puts Arsenal in a precarious scenario, and it raises the question as to why we didn't purchase any outfield players in the summer. Someone like Victor Wanyama, someone like Jeffrey Kondogbia would have been an excellent option to have had in this situation, but unfortunately we're now relying on players like Flamini, Arteta, and trying to look to alternative options in the likes of Callum Chambers, etc. So it's a difficult situation, but hopefully we can take some positives from this and potentially look to build a new midfield pivot over the next coming months. It won't be easy, but it's something that I do think can be done with the players that we've already got within the squad. But it is a shame to see our midfield absolutely torn apart like that. It's depressing in a way, but I mean, I really do hope we can rebuild from this and not focus on what went wrong over the summer transfer window. We've got to go with what we've got in the current squad, and this is what I'm going to be looking at in this video. Now, the first option for me to come in and do a job in that defensive midfield role is Flamini, who has been the natural solution given that Coquelin's been out for a couple of weeks now already. He played in the game against West Brom for the most part in the 2-1 loss. I thought he did okay in that game, but the game where he really stood out for me was in the 3-0 win against Dynamo Zagreb. Now, albeit it was just Dynamo Zagreb, he had a good performance, he held his own in the midfield, made himself known, and his tackling isn't exactly precise, but he gets the ball in any which way possible, whether it be with his chest or his head. He's not a pretty player to watch, he's not got the same elegance as someone like Coquelin, but he's got the aggression that matches Coquelin. He's got real desire and he fights for the ball. So Flamini for me would be the natural solution to come in. He's been decent for the games he has played in, even in the 1-1 draw against Norwich. He's nowhere near as effective as Coquelin, but he does his job well, and I do hope these next coming months he'll be able to stay consistent. Something that Flamini's struggled with in recent years is consistency. We have seen these kind of performances from him before where he's played well and then had a very poor game. I just hope he can stay consistent over the Christmas period and then come back, and then possibly he could be fighting with Coquelin for that spot when Coquelin comes back into the squad. Who knows? I could be saying that Coquelin will be struggling to get back into the side upon his return, but that's really clutching at straws there. I think he'll be slotted back into the side straight away. But Flamini for me is the first option I'm looking to, and the natural option in my eyes. And secondly, we're going to look to Callum Chambers, who has been training as a central defensive midfielder for the past couple of weeks now, I think. And in my opinion, this isn't going to work out too well. I like the idea of it. I really do see Chambers as a player that could bolster our midfield situation, but we haven't really seen him tested there properly yet. I remember one game he played in Southampton away last season. He was absolutely abysmal, was run ragged. And in our centre defence this season hasn't been particularly convincing either. A right back, he had a poor end to the season last year, really was kept out of the team. And after a very impressive start, Arsenal really has drifted away and hasn't really filled up to the hype that I think so many were expecting. I really do like the idea of Chambers getting regular time in the team. A young, English, predominant, strong player who's looking to bolster himself in the national side. But it's a shame that he can't break into the squad just yet. One thing that I would say about Chambers is that he's got to toughen himself up a little bit. He's strong, he's a big guy, he's got all the attributes to be a world beater in the central defensive midfield position and in the centre of defence. I really do envisage him possibly being that next Tony Adams character that we've got within the side, but he's just a little bit too soft for me at the moment, so it really does remain to be seen whether Callum Chambers will fulfil his potential within the side. Next option is Arteta, and I'm going to draw the line right here. I don't particularly want to see Arteta getting a consistent run of games within the Arsenal side, because we just fall to pieces with him in that defensive midfield situation, as we saw in the game against West Bromwich Albion. And I'm not pinning the blame on him at all. I just think he's not at the level at the moment to play for Arsenal Football Club. I know he's our captain, I know he's a good role model within the team, but sadly I think his best days are behind him and he doesn't really have much of a future at Arsenal Football Club, and he can't even stay fit at that. So for me, not the best situation at this moment in time. The next option, which I just don't think is going to happen at all, is a Ramsey Wilshere pivot when Wilshere finally does emerge back into this Arsenal team. And it's something that a couple of years ago I really did pin my hopes on. I would love to see these two play on the same side. Wilshere doing what he does for England, playing in a box-to-box midfield role with one eye on the defensive midfielder, on one eye going forward. but it would really rely on Ramsey doing a similar role as well. Both of these two alternating. The way I'd envisage it working is when one player goes forward, another stays back in defence. But the worrying thing is they're both attacking players. They've both got their eye on goal. Would they both stay disciplined to that role? I'm not sure if Ramsey would. Wilshere, I think, is the more disciplined out of the two. But, I mean, would we be getting the best out of him if we did restrict him to a defensive midfield role? So that one really is one to be pondered, but it's one that I'd love to see. A British midfield pivot would be great, and it's something that I'd like to see tested at some point. But unfortunately, we don't have any League Cup games to really test these things out in. Possibly when the FA Cup comes around, it's something to look to. But Wilshere's a player that has a huge chance now when he comes back into the side with all these midfield injuries, and you can kind of guarantee that he will slot back into the midfield. Other options we could look to, possibly Oxlade-Chamberlain playing in a midfield role. I'm not too sure how it would work. Possibly Chamberlain and Flamini, but for me, Ramsey and Flamini will be the natural pivot from here on in. That's just what I'm presuming. I think that's what Wenger will go with. Huge chance for Ramsey to fulfil his potential now in the absence of Santi Cazorla. And really, this has just been a recap on how we're going to cope with not just Coquelin, but without Santi Cazorla. Our midfield has been absolutely ripped to shreds, and we are in a very precarious situation considering we didn't buy anyone in the summer. But this has to be a lesson for Arsene Wenger more than anyone else, because it just shows how threadbare the squad is. We haven't got the best depth in the world now, and you would hope that he'd learn from this and in future windows go out and buy additions to the squad, because we are in a very dangerous situation. If we're going to challenge for the league, then we have to have more players within the squad, because now we're relying possibly on players like Christian Bielik to have an influence in the team, even possibly recalling players like Isaac Hayden from their respected loan clubs. So it's going to be difficult, but I'm hoping Arsenal will get through this. I'm not saying we will, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see how we develop over the coming months without two of our key players within the side. So leave your thoughts on this in the comments box below. I'd love to hear what you think about how we cope with not just Coquelin, but without Cazorla as well. Please do get your comments below as to what pivot you would like to see Arsenal deploy over the festive period and into the new year. But anyway, if you have enjoyed the video, please do give it a like rating, subscribe to AFC Game by Game, and as always, I'll be speaking to you very soon.